Where is this thing? Oh shit! Oh God, fuck! Sorry, you weren't supposed to see that yet. Oh God! Stop looking!
I'm not looking.
Holy fuck!
No, I'm not looking.
I'm
All
trying.
right, let's just dive into the surprise shot.
Holy fuck!
Who's this one for?
Shit!
This one's
us?
for Lauren.
God dang it!
Lauren.
My computer is fucked.
Surprise shots. Surprise shots. We don't know what they are because they're a surprise.
My computer is acting crazy, man. All kinds of windows are popping up. This shit.
Stop watching porn on your computer, man.
It's not porn.
Oh my God.
Man, just stop
Well,
all those pop-ups.
There was that one time.
There was that one time we were trying to watch Jurassic Park.
That was supposed to be in the. This is going to be in the episode, obviously, but not right now. Before anything.
This one's for Lauren.
What the fuck? I didn't even get one.
Well, yes, you did.
It's right there in front of you.
Telling me I didn't get you something.
Oh, gross! What the fuck
Cheers.
is this?
Oh, cucumber. I kind of liked that.
Oh.
That was nice. Refreshing.
Welcome to Talk Murder to Me. My name is John. I'm sitting here with Jen and Nicole. Tonight we're talking about Unit 731. I'm going to try to finish this case up today. And what do you see there? Like, what's on the screen?
It's like a
Insides.
No, what do you see
Oh,
inside?
museum exhibit.
It's a statue of like someone on a operating table with his organs open.
What is one of those organs? Look closely.
The intestine. The kidney.
Do you not see a baby's face in there?
No.
What?
Oh my God. Yes, I do. I do see
Okay,
it.
that's what I was looking
Oh my God.
for. So we're going to be reading from the book from Hal Gold, Infamous 731. This is from one of the scientists about vivisections. We talked about vivisection last week, which is the same thing as a dissection, but the human is open. I'm not going to go too much into vivisection because we already talked about that.
Humans
but
alive, you mean, right?
yeah, what did I say?
Open.
Oh, so a vivisection is like dissection, but the human is still alive. This is for research purposes. This whole story is terrible. I'm not going to go too far into the vivisections, but I do want to kind of recap from last time. One of the scientists that performed vivisections said the following, quote, "Vivisection should be done under normal circumstances. If we used anesthesia, they might have affected the body organs and blood vessels that we were examining. So we couldn't have used anesthetic," end quote. When the topic of children came up, this man offered another justification. Quote, "Of course there were experiments on children, but probably their fathers were spies," end quote. Now, I see that a lot in this story. So one way to get people okay with cutting open another human is to just simply tell them that, oh, they're a spy, especially in those countries. I mean, have you seen you saw Man on the High Castle, right?
Yes.
The Kemp and Tai are looking for these spies. If you say someone's a spy, then it's pretty much okay to cut them open. Quote, "There's a possibility this could happen again," the old man said, smiling genially, "because in war, you have to win," end quote. Well, that didn't work for them. And I will tell you, I have always had a problem with us dropping the 2 bombs that we dropped on Japan in 1945. Not that I had a problem with it, but a lot of people do, right? It's like, I mean, you instantly
It's hard.
You instantly kill 200,000+ people in a second. And you're not dropping this on the military base. You're dropping it on
Cities.
Civilians.
It's a city.
I mean, schools, women, children. There's testimonies of middle school aged children. I mean, it's kind of like the Putin thing now, right? He just blew up that train station.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. It's condemnable. But after you hear this story and what I'm going to tell you tonight, you might have a different view on it. And I'll get to that later about us dropping the bomb, because the Japanese army were not going to stop, and they actually had plans for us too, Americans, with this germ warfare thing, and it almost came to fruition. And all of this is declassified from documents that have been recently declassified from the CIA. And I'm telling you, it's a plethora of information because the Americans basically hid this, right? They gave the Japanese immunity and they bought these secrets, all these research papers. Now they're coming out because it's been, 50 years in the Freedom of Information Act. Like you can't not release the stuff they have. And I don't know, it's really eerie for some of this stuff. Anyway, if you want to read this.
Human experimentation gave researchers their first chance to actually examine the organs of a living person at will to see the progress of a disease. Vivisection was a new experience for the doctors of Japan. One former unit member explained that, quote, the results of the effects of infection cannot be obtained accurately once the person dies because putrefactive bacteria set in. Putrefactive bacteria are stronger than plague germs, so for obtaining accurate results, it is important whether the subject is alive or not.
I mean, come on. Putrefactive bacteria, that's really going to make a fucking difference. I'm just saying. Anyway, if you look at the pictures of the vivisection, which I'm about to show one now, so if you have a weak stomach, don't look, but it doesn't look like they were doing much research. It looks like they were freaking children playing in a damn sandcastle, man. Look at this shit. What the fuck research is this, man?
It just looks like they were tearing apart her insides.
Yeah, right?
Tearing up my heart
When I'm with you,
and when we are apart.
feel it too.
What research are they doing here, man?
It looks like an animal
It
attack.
looks like, exactly. And
And
all
her
of
eyes
the...
are still open.
Megan.
What?
Yes. Megan from live chat says, you're at the wrong podcast if you have a weak stomach. Love it.
Look at this one. What's in there?
A baby.
Look how peaceful that woman is. That's fucking terrible, man. That is fucking terrible. That's bad, man.
Okay, you can.
Okay, sorry. Jesus Christ.
You have subjected us to some terrible, terrible things today, John.
Where's just the bottle of vodka?
Jen's like looking at the watch, like I'm fucking
3:15. Okay, 20 minutes. All right.
Oh, yeah, guys, just so you know, I am leaving early because
Yeah.
I have a plane to catch.
She's got a plane to catch. All right, go ahead and read this, Nikwaonda.
The history of warfare for centuries has proven that in prolonged campaigns, the first or opened enemy kills 20% of the total mortality in the conflict, whilst the second or the silent enemy kills 80%. This dreadful and unnecessary sacrifice of life, especially among the Anglo-Saxon races, is most ghastly proposition of modern war, and the Japanese have gone a long way toward conquering or eliminating it.
Look at that again. Okay, because this is the reason why Japan started germ warfare. Tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about germ warfare. We're going to be talking about infecting people with all kinds of screwed up diseases, anthrax, all kinds of stuff.
COVID.
This made me think a lot about COVID.
But it is. I think it was an act of biological warfare. That's a theory.
It may be. After reading this, I kind of thinking it may be. But from that quote you just read, Nicole, you said that the silent enemy is bacteria. The silent enemy that is killing 80% of the soldiers. Now, this isn't in today's military, obviously, because we have penicillin and other things. Penicillin. After you get home from
amoxicillin.
Oh, yeah. I'm
you-
allergic to amoxicillin.
Oh.
I know, it sucked because that medicine was so tasty when I was a kid.
after a long night at Sharky's strip club, penicillin.
I'm going to go get another drink.
Syphilis.
But back then, 80% of the soldiers died from freaking the silent killer. It's not like 8%. That's one thing. 80%. Only 20% of people are dying from bullets. Japan was the first one to actually embrace this for what it was and perform germ preventive maintenance. The guy that started this, which we're about to talk about, Ishii, he actually came up with the first potable water system that we
potables?
That we still use today, the same technology. But the reason why is because over there, if you're fighting this war that lasts months or years with each other and you're all in the woods trying to screw each other up, that enemy could easily poison the water supply, the local river, or whatever. And this happened a lot. And then you drink that, now your whole freaking platoon is down. So this guy invented this whole water purification thing that took that out of the equation. Okay, so it's very important for this time. Anyway, going back to what you said real quick about the vivisections.
Even with the intestines and organs exposed, a person does not die immediately. It is the same physical situation as ordinary surgery under anesthesia, in which a person is operated on and restored. Witnesses at vivisections report that the victim usually lets out a horrible scream when the cut is made, and that the voice stops soon after that.
This is from another researcher. Quote, I cut him open from the chest to the stomach, and he screamed terribly, and his face was all twisted in agony. He made this unimaginable sound. He was screaming so horribly, but then finally he stopped. This was all in a day's work for the surgeons, but it really left an impression on me because it was my first time. That's from the New York Times, 1995, Unmasking Horror, a special report in the gruesome war atrocity, known as Unit 731. So, this is the guy that started everything right here. In every case I've seen in these vivisections, which go on, there's a lot of cases. Everyone is the same. You cut open the alive victim on the table, and they make this horrid, screechy scream. Then they go into what I've heard a lot in this case, the death throes. And then they finally just die. It's somewhere between the blood loss and the removal of vital organs is when they finally pass away. But they are conscious, they are alive. The pregnant woman we talked about last week said, go ahead and kill me, but please don't hurt my baby. But if you remember last week, nobody made it out of Unit 731 alive. My further research this week, you remember last week I said there was 100,000, maybe up to 100,000. My further research this week says there's over 200,000 people that have died. Not just in Unit 731, but all the surrounding areas. And this, I found evidence that that includes Americans as well. Americans that we're going to talk about that were Americans that were preserved in test tubes, like you see in the alien movies.
No.
Yeah. Cut up and put in liquid.
Formaldehyde?
Yeah, formaldehyde, yeah. Or something to that effect. I have the quote in here. Anyway, this is the guy that started all of this right here.
Oh.
And if you watch The Man in the High Castle, which I definitely recommend.
Yeah.
It's an old Philip K. Dick book. He does a lot of things with like second worlds type of, like if like what do you call it? History, revisionist history, where, okay, what if Japan would have won the war? What if the Nazis would have invaded? That's what that whole show's about. Anyway, the guy that
and where is that on? What
is that? Was that on HBO or something?
Prime.
Yeah. Anyway, the guy you're looking at now, one of the main characters was modeled after this guy. You can tell a similarity. I don't know if you can, Nicole. The main Japanese guy. Mm-hmm. Ishii.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you even listening to this?
Yes. I mean, they're like ruthless. And
you better not be on eBay. If you're fucking selling shit on, give me, flip your computer. Do not close it. Don't close it. Let me see. You closed it. Give it to me.
I didn't close it.
Give it
Somebody
to me.
did try to offer me something for something.
You were on eBay? What the fuck? Give me the computer. You're done. You're
This
cut off.
time in Talk Nerd to Me
addiction.
history, when Jen is the most well behaved.
Give me the computer. You're done, dude. We have the live chat up here. Oh, now you switched to fucking, yeah, like you're watching this live stream.
I am.
Okay, well, you didn't clear your history. Let's see what this is. Oh, Poshmark. Oh my God, all of your history, literally, from the whole podcast episode,
What are you talking about?
even last episode, is Poshmark and eBay.
I'm sorry. Someone wanted a hat and they wanted it shipped today.
What the fuck? If you go back and look at that video, you'll see that I knew she was doing eBay. She was not paying attention. And then what was that thing you were saying? Oh, yeah, it does look like that show. It's a great show. It's like, well, what did I just say? All right.
Should this be a good time? Like, it's not through 15 yet, but I don't want to like
Oh,
leave in the middle
fuck.
of you thinking. I don't want to just get up
Okay.
and leave.
Then yes. If
Yeah.
you think it's a good time, Jen, then just leave us.
Well, listen,
Let's take the meanness off of me for a minute.
yeah, you can blame me for the rest of the time.
That's right.
God, this is fucking just me here.
No, I'll log into the live stream
No, why would you do that?
so I can communicate.
You're not a paying member. You're not.
Yeah, you're not a Suprema. You
You're not a
can't.
Supreme. Boo. Boo.
$3 is all I can do.
Well, you can watch it next week when we put it out.
Oh my God.
Shit. All right, so I'm gonna go through this really quick, guys. This is she Shiro, born June 23rd, 1892.
I wonder if they did make the character from him because, like, honestly, he does look just like him.
I told you they made it like that. Yeah, they did make him like that. Okay, this guy right here. Now, I want to say, yes, you can blame this guy for this, but keep in mind that in 1925, the Geneva Convention banned germ warfare. Banned germ warfare. Right after that happened, the Japanese government withdraws from the Geneva Convention because the thinking was if it is bad enough to get banned, then we need to research it. So that is where this guy comes in. He is the perfect candidate to research, and not only research, but to advance this germ warfare to a new level. And the Japanese have a great opportunity here because every other country has agreed not to use germ warfare. So it is literally just them doing this. And apparently this is the thing. He was born in 1892, 1916. He graduated from the Kyoto Imperial University in the medical field. He's a very intelligent guy. He was born into a wealthy family. He enlisted into the army. He was commissioned as a lieutenant. He is the perfect candidate because all the time that he was in his undergraduate, before he knew he was going to be the face of this. And by the way, I want to say this is the guy that was the main guy that the U.S. government protected from the Nazi war crimes. So at the time, World War II ended, then the Nuremberg trials happened. The Nazis were on trial, and they still are on trial. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was like 2 months ago, they were trying a Nazi, one of the last out there. He was 102 years old.
Wow.
And they finally tracked him down, and I think he's in trial now for it. So they're still... And that's the last of them, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, you remember, like, when I did the Colonia Dignidad podcast, how, I mean, so few people were prosecuted in the Nuremberg trials. And so to go after somebody now, it's like, it feels like it's just for show.
I mean, honestly...
And I say that as someone who's lost family that I will never know from the Holocaust, you know?
What's really screwed up about this, and I'm not talking about anyone's government, because like I said, humans are terrible, man. This could have been in anyone's government. You like, Japan is just terrible. Why would they do this? But then realize that the Americans bought out this and then used the research, and then you realize the Russians were using it. I mean, honestly, in wartime like that, I don't know, man. You just do anything, I guess, the thinking is, to
survive.
But I'm telling you right now, this germ warfare stuff is extremely scary right here. The stuff that they were doing is terrifying. And this was, 60 years ago? 70 years ago? So think about it now. If I'm telling you, germ warfare, this stuff could kill people way faster than any other thing, any other type of warfare. From what?
And now I guess it would be chemical warfare.
Yeah,
it is the term.
But I was looking up the history. The first to ever use germ warfare was, and these guys use a lot of the bubonic plague. The first one in noted history to do that was Genghis Khan. And this is kind of interesting if you want to look this up, but he was the first one to use this germ warfare. And what they would do is they would kill their enemy and they would let their bodies rot a little bit. And then they would put them on a catapult, and they would sling them over the castle walls. And that body would be deteriorating and the bacteria would make everyone sick. So apparently that was extremely effective. And he was the first one that I've seen that tried that. Pretty interesting. Anyway, this guy right here, Ishishiro, he actually goes back to Kyoto University, gets his PhD in bacteriology, and as I said, he's fascinated. He looks up everything he can about World War I and the methods of using germ warfare or biowarfare, and he marries the university president's daughter. So now he is in the perfect position to start this unit, because you have to have, he comes from a wealthy background. He's a commissioned officer, and he is married to a very prestigious man in Japanese society at the time. So from Hal Gold's book, quote, "This marital link cemented his position with the university's medical research people and facilities. In a sense, thus, it also laid the beginnings of a foundation for his human experimentation in China." All right. This is a little bit about the thing. I just wanted to include this. This is what he came up with, his water purification. That's his patent right there. And I don't really know how this works, but I do know that we use something like this now, because I used to see it in the military all the time. But basically what it would do, from what I researched, is it would just pull water from a local water source, like a river, which a lot of times was contaminated, because these warring powers would actually contaminate, like they would give cows this disease or whatever, and they would slaughter them and then throw them into the river. And that bacteria would spread to the local river source, which doesn't only kill the soldiers, but it also kills everyone else fucking down the line. So there's not a true number of casualties, because all the villagers are dead too. But anyway, to combat that, and if you're spending months and months and months out in the woods, out in the wilderness, you need a water supply, a constant water supply, and you cannot trust the local stream, and boiling water is just not an option. This is too much time and to do that. So what this would do, it would pressurize the water in some kind of a gravel stone. It would pressurize it so much and kind of filtrate it through there and clean it all. It was basically like a Brita. It was a Brita filter. That's all it was. It was a big ass fucking Brita filter. But you use pressure, so you would like squeeze it through there, almost like an espresso machine. How it uses that pressure just to push the water down. So that's basically what it was. But it was revolutionary at the time, like literally revolutionary. So this is another, just a couple pictures I found of this thing in action. These are kind of old pictures, but here's another one of them using it. Like I said, this was revolutionary. So he invented this. Now, who else could start this unit? Because it wasn't just him. He did found the idea and kind of push it forward. But this germ warfare was what Japan as an entity wanted. Because it's such a small island, they have to have the advantage somehow. You know what I'm saying? And so that they decided to do germ warfare. So about some of the experiments found in Unit 731 before we talk about the germ warfare. When the Russians invaded in and the Americans got there, they saw some of the experiments that were going on, and this is one of them right here.
Takeo Wano, a 71-year-old former medical worker in Unit 731 who now lives here in northern Japanese city of Moroika, said that he once saw a 6-foot-high glass jar in which a Western man was pickled in formaldehyde. The man had been cut into 2 pieces vertically, and Mr. Wano guesses that he was Russian because there were many Russians then living in the area.
So it goes on to say, quote, I saw samples with labels saying American, English, and Frenchmen, but most were Chinese, Koreans, and Mongolians, said a Unit 731 veteran. Quote, those labeled as American were just body parts like hands or feet, and some were sent in by other military units, end quote. So they were, this unit was actively testing all kinds of shit, not just the vivisections and germ warfare and stuff like that, but they were actually doing some Mengele type of experiments here. It's just like they had no boundaries whatsoever. If you want to read this is from one of the CIA reports that I found.
The NHK programs showed color diagrams and detailed descriptions of about 400 experiments, such as one in which a prisoner was infected by a strand of anthrax bacteria that was then tracked as it spread throughout his body.
Pretty crazy, isn't it? All right.
So they're like, in each of these cases, they're opening up the bodies while they are still alive.
Yeah. Now, for the biological warfare section I'm going to talk about, I couldn't find an actual photo of this, but I will try to describe it for you. A couple hundred yards away from the facility, the Unit 731 facility, which you just saw, the smokestacks, up on a hill, it's called ANDA. It was ANDA is a testing site. This is where they would test the germ warfare. And I'm talking about germ warfare. This is the meat of the potatoes here. Here's how they would do it. They needed fleas to pass on whatever bacteria they're testing. Let's say they're testing anthrax, right? Let's say they want to test the anthrax on someone's body. Well, they need a way to get that anthrax inside that person through natural transmission. So what they would use is fleas. Now, they also need a way to test how to get that anthrax into a population without just going and releasing a bunch of fleas, because that shit doesn't work, right? They need to find a way to bomb an entire area. So on this little hill called Anda, they conducted this research, which they would tie these Maruta up on this cross, like they were being crucified. They covered their head, all their extremities were covered with like armor covers, because what they were going to do is drop bombs right by them, and the bombs contained fleas with the bacteria. They didn't want their arms to blow off and then, to die. They just wanted to test how they could spread it easily. Later, they tested different diseases and different bacteria with balloons. And in fact, I found in one of these reports that right before we dropped the bomb in September, so we dropped the bomb in August. In September, there was a plan to be carried out to drop or to kamikaze pilot a bunch of unknown bacteria into California. into San Diego. They were going to do that. That was scheduled on the list. And then we dropped the bomb like 2 months before.
When biological warfare bombs were tested, each Maruta was protected with headgear and a metal plate hung from the neck to cover the front part of the body. These protective devices prevented death or serious injury that would make it impossible to obtain the needed data. Arms and legs were left exposed so that they could be bitten by the disease-carrying insects.
Yeah, pretty crazy, isn't it?
God.
Crazy. If you want to read this is what I found about how more than 200,000 were killed. Now, they were testing this not just on the Maruta and prisoners. They were infecting the local water supplies from the Chinese, because remember, they're in Manchuria right there, and around Manchuria is occupied by the Japanese, but around that area, around the towns, was what was referred to as Free China. They would conduct these warfare experiments, these germ warfare experiments on the public there. So this is where the numbers get inflated a lot. Not just the people killed in Unit 731, but all the villagers as well. If you want to read that, actually, there you go.
Sheldon H. Harris, a historian at a California State University in Northridge, estimates that more than 200,000 Chinese were killed in germ warfare field experiments. Professor Harris, author of a book on Unit 731, Factories of Death, also says that plague-infected animals were released as the war was ending and caused outbreaks of the plague that killed at least 300,000 people in the Harbin area from 1946 through 1948.
So a couple other things they would do. One, to test, because this went on for a few years. They would put someone infected with whatever disease in confinement with another person who was not infected, and then they would study how long it takes to spread and stuff like that. But the main part of Unit 731 was to test for mass release of biological warfare. They would use fleas. And how do you think they would get these fleas?
Were they like hanging around dead animals type thing?
Kind of. So to get the fleas, they caught rats. What they would do is they would pay the locals, and they wouldn't tell them what they were doing, but they would pay them better than they were making anywhere else. And plus, everyone's pretty much poor farmers. Mm-hmm. They would pay these locals to catch rats, and the fleas on the rats, they would give them these little tweezers and tell them to pick them off. Later, what they did is started raising their own rats and multiplying these fleas. One rat would have about 100 or so fleas on it. They would chloroform both the rat and the fleas too, and they would just pick them off one by one, the fleas, because the fleas is what can get affected. That's what they were using. This whole warfare thing was based on these fleas. For instance, in what I was talking about earlier with the attack in California, the attack was actually called Cherry Blossom. This was a go. This thing was going to happen. It was completely documented. Toshima Mitsubishi, who was an instructor for the new recruits in Unit 731, said the idea was to use 20 of the 500 new troops who arrived in Harbin in July 1945. A submarine was to take a few of them to the seas off Southern California, and then they were to fly in a plane carried on board the submarine and contaminate San Diego with plague-infected fleas, which is the bubonic plague they're talking about. The target date was to be September 22nd, 1945.
It's actually exactly what Lauren said in the chat. I remember reading something about the U.S. using an aerial defense system to protect the West Coast from an aerial attack from Japanese bombs.
Yeah, balloons. Balloons, yeah. So balloons were a thing too. They were basically putting these rats that had the fleas on them in balloons. There's a couple methods. They would use balloons. They would use these ceramic kind of bombs they made that would shatter and break, and then the rat would just run out and the fleas would jump off and infect people. So they were doing this not only to the prisoners, but the population. They were actively testing this stuff, right? Anyway, yeah, great point, Lauren. But that shocked me right there because, as I said, the target date for that Operation Cherry Blossom was in full effect. That target date was September 22nd, 1945. We bombed Japan on August 6th, 1945. So I've always kind of had, I mean, everyone's kind of got a problem with it. What if we decided not to drop the bomb? Because this biowarfare, this germ warfare, plague-infected fleas in Southern California, I mean, that could be the game changer right there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how fast would that spread? Extreme. I mean, look how fast COVID spread. You know what I'm saying? Look how fast that shit spread. And that was from one dude eating a fucking bat. Imagine if a country now, and I'm sure they're doing it. Imagine if they're testing these fleas and these viruses. If they release that shit.
Our country is testing it.
If they release that shit, it is so scary to think about. I've never been as worried until I read this story. Anyway, one last thing I want to talk about, kind of finish this up. There's a whole PDF, and it's like 100-something pages about the U.S. intelligence that they obtained from this. It is very well documented that the U.S. not only knew about this, but protected the criminals. I don't know what you guys think about that if you're in the U.S. It's kind of effed up, in my opinion, but if you want to read this.
The evidence showed that the U.S. military obtained data from the tests in exchange for shielding the perpetrators from prosecution at the 1946 to 1948 Tokyo War Crimes Tribunal, the program said.
Anyway, I think I'm going to stop here. It's not the same without Jen. Next week, I'm going to try to get out 3 episodes because they're all really related to each other. In fact, one of the killers kills another one of the killers.
Whoa!
So I was like, because I was looking at this one killer, which is really popular. Like, people really want to see this guy's autopsy. And so I was looking up that, and then I was like, wow, he killed this other killer. I was like, wow, that's crazy. That's 2 stories right there. And they're both full stories.
That is 2 stories.
I don't know. To this week was kind of weird, guys. So that's all I'm doing for Unit 731. I'm done with the case. Join us next week. We got some crazy cases. And until next time, good night, you lovely, lovely people.